talk about a Star Wars perspective on, what's going on as far as the protests, talking also about the COVID. And it's really interesting because in the preview, talking to Benita and Michael never even watched a Star Wars movie. So, and Benita, I know you said you hadn't really watched it that much, right?
I did, but it's been a while. Members of my family have not missed a single Star Wars movie, and I guess because I like a variety of movies, I just haven't focused on Star Wars. So,
Okay.
not quite sure.
Okay. So basically, with Star Wars, the whole concept with George Lucas was to be able to create a community about, it's good versus evil. And, right now, while we're in the midst of the pandemic and the COVID, and now we have the protests going on, and then you have looters on the other hand, everybody, it's in like a pandemonium state. And I think everybody's like on edge. I mean, I've been constantly watching social media and the news like a few days in a row. I'll stop and do some work or something like that I have to do. But it's really stressful because we actually think that it's going to be resolved in one day. And then in the middle of it, you still see people are getting killed, or not just killed, but there have been a couple people that got killed, but people that are actually getting maimed and things like that as well. And it's just, so I just wanted to come from a Star Wars perspective and talk about how, George Lucas, when he came up with the concept of Star Wars, it was basically like good versus evil. And, trying to find your best inner self. But Benita, come to us from a perspective like you lived in what, the 70s, 60s, when everybody was like, you had the Black Panthers and everything like that. Tell us about your experience when you were growing up, like in that situation.
My experience with the whole racial atmosphere, I'll call it the racial atmosphere, or the racial events that were going on, started far back. I'm 73 years old. I was born in Montgomery, Alabama. My father was a famous radio announcer.
Really?
We ended up, yes, being forced to move from Montgomery, Alabama to my mother's home here in Washington, D.C., because when Emmett Till was killed, my father did a commentary on about the incident about this young man being so horribly killed. He was just an innocent young kid. And because of it, our home was bombed, and we were forced to move from Montgomery to Washington, D.C., where my mother's from. Since then, but while living in Montgomery, even though we left when I was only about 10 years old, so that you're talking 63 years ago, I, as a child, saw at least 2 lynchings.
Oh, are you
As a
serious?
child. And that's one of the reasons why I cannot see these movies like Mississippi Burning and all
Yeah.
of that kind of stuff, because it's way too dear and too near my heart as well as my head. The things that have been going on, like so many people have said, and I think have said very eloquently, is that this has been going on for years and years and years. And it's been really sad. We had people like Martin Luther King who tried using peaceful methods to bring about change. I believe that the movement, or what's going on now, I'm glad to see I'm not glad to see the destruction. I understand it. I agree with a young gentleman who talked about a contract. Maybe you can help me remember his name. He is on one of the television stations. He's at home. He talked about there was a contract in the United States of America where, as blacks, we followed the contract, but but the other folks in America, the white Americans, did not. And when the law was handled differently for them than it was for us, and there were so many injustices that the one reason why I love the cell phone is that people could document the things that were happening to African Americans, in particular our men, but not just our men, as women as well. And now I'm not a person who supports violence, but I think when people try for so many years to do things non-violently, sometimes they're just not paid any attention until things are shaken up. Again, do I support violence? No. Do I think most African Americans support violence? Absolutely not. But they have to see some change. And it seems that there will be no change unless there are some radical things that happen. But I see it, I believe, and I hope and pray that it will come with the cooperation and the acknowledgement of, and I've seen it already, the acknowledgement of white America, and through newscasters and through some officials saying, this is wrong, this has been wrong for 400 years, and we need to make it right, and it's going to take a lot of time to make it right.
You know, what I was really surprised about when I was, just reading some things, news articles and different things, I was very surprised that it said that Obama had actually instituted a lot of laws that would keep police from being, too brutal or too violent. Like, there were laws, and when the next, regime came in, they lifted those laws and took those laws away, and it looked like it caused pandemonium, that people could feel like they had the authority to handle the situations how they felt. So is that true?
To abuse, yes. Obama did have laws and regulations in place, guidelines for police departments all over the country in how to treat prisoners or people who are accused of crime. And when Trump came in, like so many things, like everything of the former great President Obama, he destroyed, he took away just the whole deal with this pandemic that's going on right now. Obama had set up an entire organization to handle it, to know, so that we would be able in advance, years in advance and years in the future, know how to deal with something like this, so that we don't have over 100,000 people who die because of a president who